Welcome, everyone. I'm Blair Clark, and if you are a real estate entrepreneur who got into this game for freedom, then today's show is for you. My guest, Erica West, tells us all about her successful retail real estate business that gives her the freedom to live wherever it is that she wants and live out the lifestyle of her dreams. Erica built up a very successful retail business as an agent here in Michigan, but then followed her heart and followed her dreams all the way to the state of California, but her Michigan business is still going strong. She also talks to us about how she flips houses, has long-term rentals, short-term rentals, mid-term rentals, and oh, by the way, did I mention she's not even 30 years old yet? So listen for the gold nuggets that Erica is dropping on us today. How did she do all of this? The main takeaway is the right people, systems, and structures in place will give you that freedom that you got into this game for in the first place. So without further delay, let's get into the show because it's gonna be a good one. Hey, Erica, thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, I'm honored to be here. Thanks for the invite.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm really excited to dive into your entire journey. I met Erica a few years ago, so I know some of the things that she's got going on, and I wanted to share that with everybody who's watching today. But before we jump into that, let's just tell everybody, where is it that you're located right
Mhm.
now, where you call home?
Yeah. Physically, right now, I'm in San Diego, California. I still call home Michigan. Metro Detroit is where I'm from. Yeah, that's right. And I'm there. I like to say I split my time, but the majority of my time I spend in San Diego, and that is on purpose. I love it here.
I'm
That's my
sure.
place. Yeah.
No, I'm sure, definitely, especially during those Michigan winters. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, your dad called me a few years ago to talk about real estate, and he told me on the phone that you were moving to California, and I thought, wow, that's amazing. And then I paused because it's your dad, and I'm a parent, and I said, "And how
Huh.
are you doing with it?" And he's like, he was really proud of you, and he was glad that you were doing it while you were young because he said, if she doesn't do it now, then she might not do it, but her mother and I are going to miss her dearly. So how have things been going for you since you moved to California? How long ago has that
Yeah.
been you moved?
Yeah, so that was in 2022 now, and I have to sidebar and say my dad thinks you're so cool. It's so cute. He just like thinks that you are just a badass. I hope it's okay that I say that, but
Oh,
he
no,
thinks you're a total
absolutely.
badass. Okay,
Thank
good.
thank you. Thank you so much. Your dad, I know that you don't ever get tired of hearing this, but I just
Yeah.
I Erica's dad looks exactly like Tom Cruise, you guys.
Oh my God. I
Exactly
get
like
that.
Tom
I get a
exactly
mix of Tom Cruise and Matt Damon now. And yeah, everyone he
mm,
says he never ages, whatever. He's gonna watch this and just have the biggest smile on his face. Yeah,
oh,
for
I'm
sure.
sure. No,
Hope
right
I
on.
get
The
those genes.
first time I met Erica and her dad was, at the same event a few years ago, and I turned to Erica after her dad walked away, and I was like, "Has anybody ever told you?" And she was like, if one more person if one more person tells me my dad looks like Tom Cruise," but it's uncanny, it's uncanny.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll post up a picture of that later, but we'll
Yeah, we
do a
will have to, like,
do it
add
side
that
by
to the
side.
clip. Yeah, 100%.
Exactly.
So, but
No,
anyways,
so
just
you moved
to
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 California in 2022.
yeah,
Go
I
ahead.
moved to California in 2022, and a lot of people ask why. Because I had such a successful real estate sales business in Michigan, like, so fast, like and not to say that there wasn't a lot of hard work, but it was like rising star, rookie of the year, top producer, like, boom, boom, boom. I was just getting it, and people are like, "Why did you go to California? Like, what are you doing?" But my heart and my soul called me out here. I love living out here. The sun, the ocean, the mountains, the city, the desert. I mean, it's got everything that breathes life into my soul. And I wanted to move here. And I said, screw it. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna figure it out. And to be honest with you, I'll just be totally honest. I thought I was gonna do what I did in Michigan all over again in San Diego. I thought I was gonna get there, I was gonna work hard, and I was gonna just hit the ground running and just be this amazing top producing successful agent in San Diego and just do it all over again. Whatever. I did it once, I can do it again. And it was very soon since I started, because I started basically, I got my license at the end of 2019, 2020,
Mhm.
and had, seen such a high level of success in my career so early on that I had a lot of confidence, which I don't regret having. But I got to San Diego and realized it is it is difficult to start a business in a place you don't know anyone. And there's a
Mhm.
lot of big fish out here, and it is a very expensive market, and it is a very predominantly like there are a lot of agents here, but there's only quite a few really good movers and shakers, like badass agents that like an average agent out here sells a couple houses a year, like 3 to 5, and they honestly make a good living doing that, like
Wow.
because of the price point. But anyway, it's very competitive. It's very who you know out here. Obviously you're dealing with high stakes, very high level properties, expensive properties. I mean, a 2-1 out here in a nice area is over $1 million, and so you're dealing with a lot. Um, yeah,
That's
and so I
crazy.
got
To
out
to
here.
price to price anchor the Metro Detroit area, which is
Oh, yeah,
where I'm speaking from at the moment, a wholesaler just sent me a listing for a 2-1 and he's selling it for 80,000.
yeah,
And perhaps tippy top of the market would be 150.
yeah,
Yikes.
yeah, I just bought a house that we're renovating and flipping. I got a
Mhm.
screaming deal on it, but for 60K in Sterling Heights, Michigan. So, yeah,
Fantastic.
um
Fantastic. So tell us then, so you got your license in 2019.
mhm,
Um, so then give us some frame of reference. How old were you then when you
yep,
first got your license?
yep, 21.
Yes. So one of the things that just I really I don't even like not like amazes me or whatever, but just it is so I don't know, I've followed your journey for the last few years since I've met you, and I am
Yeah,
just so inspired. There's the word that I'm looking for. I'm so inspired by everything that you have crammed into such a short period of time. There's so much that you have done. And so, how did you get into it? So, at age 21, you
yeah,
decide that you want to go into retail real estate. So,
yep.
how did you get into retail real estate? And then just kind of walk us through that.
Yeah. So this story is funny. Again, I'm going to bring up my dad because he is the entire reason I started in real estate. And it's funny. I always tell this story. My dad owns an apartment complex, still does. Bought it on a land contract in God, 20 plus years ago. A really really long time ago. Bought this apartment complex, and as a kid I remember we were the help. We went over, we shoveled the apartment complex, we raked the apartment complex, we painted the sign outside, and I just remember hating it and just being like, what is this, like why do we own this, like what is
Mhm.
this? And my dad teaching, I just remember him always saying like, you're going to thank me one day, you're going to thank me one day, like this will mean something one day. And the funny thing is, like, I joke, like, I better be in the will, and I get the apartment complex, okay? Listen, they can get the other, I want the apartment complex. But in any case, so I grew up around real estate. My dad introduced it to me at a very young age. And then in 2018, I went to, do you know Fortune Builders? I'm sure you do. The
Yes, I've heard of
companies.
it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So I went to a Fortune Builders seminar. And I just remember they were talking about financial freedom. And to me, at the time, so financial freedom means a lot of different things to a lot of different
Mhm.
people. And to me, it meant the financial security and independence to make life choices based on your own personal values and interests and wants without any financial constraints. So I'm sitting there just like, what kind of a life can I live if I have financial freedom? Like, what is this real estate thing? Like, people were standing up telling me stories that I was bewildered. I was so young, and all this, just these stories were just making imprints on my tiny brain, and I was like, "Oh my god, this is like this is so unconventional. This is so different than what all my friends are going to school for. I'm so capable of of creating something like
Mhm.
this." And in any case, I left that seminar inspired, on fire. Then I graduated college. I got a 4-year degree in psychology and family studies and got my real estate license the second I got out of school.
And are probably making a lot more money and
Oh, yeah.
probably have a lot more freedom. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
obviously, there you are in California. If you would have joined a practice or started a practice, you know, there's your roots planted without how could you uproot, right?
Yeah, no way. And I realized in that industry, you're just such a product of your environment and what you're
Mhm.
around. And I just wanted something different. And I really do feel like I use a lot of what I've learned in psychology and all of that with my clients and with everything that I do. So I don't regret it. But it is funny getting out of there. I remember I made a Facebook post. I was so nervous about posting that I was a real estate agent, and everyone gave me so much support. But there was one comment by some, troll, some kid that was like, "Didn't you just get a 4-year degree from Central Michigan University? Like, what are you doing?" And I remember just being like, just like took the wind out of my sail. But like, now
That
I wish I
one
could look at him
comment.
now and give him the double fingers. Like, you know what, I'm living my best life and I figured it out and it's just fine. But that did hurt the soul at the time.
No, right on. Well, fire up, Chippewa.
Yeah, let's
Central
go.
Michigan alum, John Paul and I, like 10 years before you graduated. But yeah, I graduated from Central with an education degree, and so did he. And he has a master's degree. He's still teaching, and we're hoping that he can be done with that as soon as possible so that we can be just like you and go live the life of our dreams. But that's so funny. So what couple things that I want to point out here is you did not appreciate being drugged to your father's
No.
apartment building when you were a child, but yet there you were, and that was like planting seeds for you. And
Yeah.
then you went to that fortune builders. Did you go on your own or did you go with your dad or
I
friends?
went with my dad. Went with
Okay.
my dad, my parents.
Mhm.
Yep.
Yeah, so what I wanna point out is, like, the importance of, like, what you said, the influence of your surroundings, and then the influence of our family, of our parents. Sometimes that influence can be a dream builder, sometimes that influence can be a dream crusher.
100%.
My husband's parents had a very small multifamily, 3 or 4 units when he was growing up, and they would do the same thing, they would make him go and turn over a unit every time. Now
Yeah.
we've got my 2 little boys who very begrudgingly come out and have to spend their free time, and they're still quite small. So there's not,
Yeah.
like, a lot that they can do yet, but we're just, like, waiting until they're old enough to do these, like, main tasks, and
Mhm.
just hoping that we are planting seeds because John Paul's family, his parents planted that small little seed. We're hoping to plant those small little seeds, and then for your dad to take you to this, this conference and to be in this community for your entrepreneurial mindset to just sort of take root and then blossom. I don't begrudge my college experience or my degree or anything like that. Even though I'm not applying it directly to what I'm doing today in real estate, because there are so many things that I'm sure you took from that that you are now applying to what it is that you're doing today. So I'm sure there are some people out there who are listening thinking like, but I have a degree in something completely unrelated to
Right.
real estate, whether it's retail real estate or investing, like what do you think you gained from your college experience, from your degree that you are now applying in what you're doing today? Maybe something you wouldn't have that is really resourceful to you that if you hadn't gone through that,
Right.
the point is like I don't think it was a waste.
I don't think it was a waste. Certainly not. If anything, I mean, from college, I've got my bridesmaids, I've got my girls, I've got my, you know what I mean? Like there's
Mhm,
no level of regret in that experience. I do think retail real estate sidewise, you are dealing, it's not just an investment. That's why I love the duality of real estate, right? Like it's an investment, but it's also somewhere where you create memories, you create home, it's your safe space, it is yours,
mhm.
and so when you're dealing with people buying or selling this, to me it's so far beyond like, oh, this is an asset and you're going to sell this and you're going to make, like, it's like
It's
How
not
can I
calculated,
help
right?
you through this, like, truly emotional experience? I mean, client just called me the other day, her mother-in-law passed away, and the house is the house that her husband grew up in. I mean, it's just there's a lot to that that you have to help empathize with and really understand where they're coming from in the background. And I've even psychology-wise, I've dealt with a lot of situations where people are dealing with mental illness and family circumstances that are very like, there's a lot of weight in a
Mhm,
home, you know? And so being able to use what I've learned and being patient and empathize and being able to speak to people and really get to the root of issues and solve problems and figure out their goals and really get them on the trajectory that they want. Like, there's so much to that that I've learned through my college experience, for sure.
mhm. No, absolutely. So I think one of the things people I mean, people can do whatever they want to do, but I think it would be wise for people to not just write themselves off and say, like, well, I'm a nurse or I'm a teacher or, I've got a law degree or something like that. Or for people to
Right.
say, I don't have any formal post high school education and to just write themselves off that the real estate space isn't something that they can jump into because you have skills and you have a value that you bring to the table no matter what that you can apply. Everything is so versatile. So,
Right.
for me, I think that like having been an elementary teacher, I really know how to diffuse situations when emotions get hot because I deal with a lot of people who we when we purchase a home,
Mhm.
it's usually from some sort of situation where the person needs to sell it at a discount for a reason that is typically unfortunate.
Right.
And so I feel like I am able to diffuse emotionally charged situations because man, like I was running a classroom full of emotionally charged second graders. Like
Oh,
I
yeah.
got this. You know what I mean? Like I got this.
Oh,
And
yeah.
so you and your background in psychology, you understand it's not just a transaction. So whoever it is that's listening to this and you just think like all my skill sets and knowledge are completely unrelated, like no, you will find a way to weave them right in there.
Absolutely. I
So
also feel
let's
like your teaching experience too, you are such a good teacher in real estate too. I mean, you know how to really get to how can I make something that's very sometimes difficult conceptually land for someone. Like that is really important. And then
Mhm,
your efficient learning. And
mhm.
everyone in their career has a unique experience that's going to bring something to the table that someone else doesn't have. I'm with you on that 100%.
Yeah. No, absolutely. So let's jump back into your California journey here. So you said that it was a bit of a challenge jumping from
Oh,
the
yeah.
Michigan scene to the California scene. So let's go through more of that. So you
Yeah.
wanted to start your business in California. So for when you have a real estate license, would you have to be licensed in every single state that you wanted to practice
Correct.
in or do real estate? Okay.
Correct.
So you have
So
your license
there's
in Michigan and then also for California?
correct. And there's
Okay.
some reciprocal states where you just have to take the test, and then there's
Mhm.
some states where you have to go through the full thing,
Gotcha.
which you do in California. So yeah, I'm
Gotcha.
licensed in both states.
Okay. All right. So keep walking us through. You
Yeah.
move out to Cali and you're gonna crush it, but then
Okay. So I get out here right out in bushy tailed, like just so excited. Let's do it. Let's take it on. I thought I was burning the boat, as they say. And you know what? The business in Michigan, I'm done. I'm gone. And I'm going to start a brand new business here. Well, for one, I realized it takes a long time to build a business. Well, okay, I should be careful about my words, but it takes a lot of effort, energy, and usually time to
yeah.
create a beautiful business. And to think to just let something go that I had worked so hard on for so
Mhm.
long and start over brand new, the burnout was absolutely inevitable. And so I got out here, I started building really great connections. I mean, I did start getting business, but it took some time. You don't meet someone at a networking event and sell a house 30 days later. You know what I mean? And you
Mhm.
don't just go door knock on someone's house and all of a sudden they list with you a month later. You've got to build a business. You've got to build a database of people. You've got to provide value to them and have them trust you in return. It takes time. And so I realized something very early on that, you know what, I'm still getting calls from my clients, my friends, my family in Michigan. who still want to work with me
Mm-hmm.
all the way across the country. I'm like, how can I still service them and help them? Because I really do believe, and this is where my confidence comes from. I really do believe that I care so much and I love my clients so much that I am going to do the best job for them that no one else can do because I care. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, I owe it to my friends and my family and my people to still be that person for them that cares about them and that will take good care of them. So I reversed engineered a business out of state, out of necessity, right? First, like I had to make money still, and I wanted to help my people still. So I hired on some what I would call boots on the ground in Michigan. I've got Chris, who is my go-to guy. He's a showing assistant, buyer's agent, whatever you want to call it. He's got a background in construction. He's fun, he's got energy, he's very knowledgeable about real estate. He's got his license as well. He works with my clients in person. I still work with my clients. My clients still call me. I write contracts for them. I'll send them comps. I'll do reports for them. I'll walk them through the process, do the consultation. They still work with me. And we have two agents. We're all together and in a group chat and everything. They've got two agents that are taking care of them at all times. If I'm not there or if I'm out of town or if I'm at an appointment or doing something like this and someone has an issue or someone has a question, Chris is right there. I mean, it's like actually a higher leveled experience for my clients that most people never get with having a single agent. Not that there's anything wrong with that. But they've got both of us taking care of them. They get to go see properties whenever they want, when they want, with someone that knows what they're doing, knows what to look for, knows how to basically inspect a home for them. And then they still get me as well with my knowledge and experience and passion and joy in helping them. And you've got two agents. Um, and I've got a transaction manager that helps with the flow of the transaction and the administrative work. And I still go to Michigan from time to time as well. But really, the team that is now growing grew out of necessity. And now I'm able to help people in both states seamlessly, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
It's
No,
cool.
that is a fantastic system, and setting up systems is so key to being able to do multiple
Right.
things and be multiple places at once. And so I was going to ask you the question about, like, how did you overcome the obstacle of doing business in Michigan, but you just laid it all out there. I mean, that's how you do it, folks. That's how you live where you want to live, but then do business elsewhere. Is you do have to have those boots on the grounds. I think for whatever business you want to structure, if you do have to have something physically set in place, you got to have those boots on the ground. So that is fantastic. You don't have to give away all of your secrets, but how did you find Chris? And then you said you have
Yeah.
a transaction coordinator. How did you find this person? I
Mhm.
have an assistant who I know very well and I know personally, so utilizing her was easy. But before I thought to approach her about this, I was nervous to reach out to randoms. So how did you find
Right.
these, like, core people who just really help you do this thing?
So I think what's funny is when you are shining your light and being you and being great and you're in your greatness, like sometimes people just flow to you. And whether you're present to the opportunity or not is like that's the catch. But I remember Chris coming into my office before I decided to move to San Diego, just like fascinated and how I got business and how I grew so fast. And he was just like so eager to learn and grow and be great. And he was fearless. He was willing to do whatever I told him to do to get that business. And I was like, this kid's great. Like he's gonna go places, you know? And I think he was also in the space a little bit behind in the sense of like, I was in the business maybe a year or two before him. So he was kind of just getting that momentum. And when I left, actually, I came out to California for a couple months just to kind of like get a lay of the land, figure out where I wanted to live, et cetera. And I was like, call Chris to show properties while I'm gone. I need him to show some houses, and at no point was thinking about creating a business relationship with him like we have now. Um, And so again, I was just paying him per showing, whatever, go show properties, and my clients loved him. Like they loved him. And it made me so happy. They were like, Chris is so great. He's like crawling, getting in the crawl space. Like he's like putting on his boots and walking the back lot and just
Yay,
like,
go Chris.
he's just doing the and I show up to showings in heels sometimes. Like sometimes I'm not, doing the most. But it's funny, he's just good and he's genuine. And I just saw the light in him and we just had a really good connection. And I was like, I know that you're growing, you're still in the state of growing your business. What have I added to your business? And we were able to partner and mutually benefit from growing a beautiful business together. And that's exactly what we did. It was a very organic, I didn't put a link in, or Indeed listing
Mhm.
up, like, it was like he came to me and I felt that connection to each other,
Mhm.
and it ended up turning into a really beautiful relationship.
Yeah, no, that's just like fantastic practice. And, I have been a culprit of a perpetrator of saying like, well, I don't know who, I don't know how, I don't know
Right,
what. And it's just not reason enough to not do the thing because maybe you don't know the who, the how, the what, but they are out there. It is out there.
right,
Whatever it is that you need to bring into your business to do the things that you need to do, and then also so that you can do the things that you want to do.
right.
So, yeah, so let's go back then. Okay, so you've got business in Michigan is booming. Thank you, Chris. Thank you for that. Chris, you're amazing.
Yeah,
You're awesome. Everybody
yeah.
needs a Chris. That's gonna be
Everybody
that's
needs a
gonna be
Chris, totally.
that's gonna be the title of this video. Everybody needs a Chris. So you've got the Michigan thing set up.
Yep.
What became of or what is going on with the California retail real estate?
Yeah, so for a while, I was in this state of what is the saying, like, chasing 2 rabbits and you're not getting either one, you
Yeah.
know? And so I was in this state of hours and hours on the Michigan business every day, and then hours and hours in the afternoon on the San Diego business because of the time change, right? Like I can wake up at 6 a.m. or not, no, I woke up before 5 a.m. I started working at 6 a.m., 9 a.m. at home. I can get all this work done there, and then I can start in California
Mhm.
at noon or whatever. It's 3 o'clock at home. And it was too much. Okay. So I
Exhausting.
was
Mhm.
I was over inundating myself with that. So I decided to let the California business go for a while until I really got the methods down with Chris. What's cool too is we live in such a virtual world. Like I do virtual consultations with all my clients in Michigan, and it's just like I really learned how to be comfortable with this business in Michigan and learning the mechanics and what's the pay structure for Chris, right? And like, how does all this work? I spent months kind of perfecting Michigan before I jumped back into California. And what I
Mhm.
decided was instead of pedal to the metal in both areas, I'm going to pedal to the metal in Michigan and do what I've always done. In California, I'm going to make it fun because that's my choice, right? I'm
Mhm.
choosing
Awesome.
to make it fun. So I go to investor networking groups. I go to pickleball. I do open houses. Like sometimes I'll do open houses for other agents and
Mhm.
meet buyers out there, and it's a really good way to connect and meet right now business. I do a lot of like women's wine and book club thing. Like I try to organically create business in San Diego in a way where I'm enjoying it in my life and enjoying where I'm at.
Mm,
Whereas in
mhm.
Michigan, it's more of a high level prospecting, referral, that like it's different. And that way I have this nice dichotomy of like I feel like I'm living my best life in California, which was the goal, you know? And then also still having a really, really beautiful business in Michigan where I can move to any state. We've been thinking about maybe moving to Tennessee down the line. I can move to
Sure.
any state and have that business in Michigan. You know what I mean?
Yep. No,
And do it
that's
in
fantastic.
California. I could do it in California. I can leave here and have a Chris here. It's
Mhm.
really cool. And in the real estate space, we call it an expansion division of your business. And you can expand wherever you want. You just gotta really be committed to doing that. But yeah.
Mhm. No, I love what you said and how you can't go pedal to the metal in 2 separate directions or,
Yeah.
in 2 different directions. I mean, you can, but
You
I
can.
feel like
Yeah.
that's the pathway to burnout or the pathway to maybe relationship ruin or the pathway to, like,
Right.
stomach ulcers or something like that. So
Right.
I think
And you
that
know
is so
what?
wise that you recognize that.
You could what I could get like a ISA, internal sales agent, I think, or yeah, internal sales agent. I could have someone cold calling for me in
Mhm,
California, and there is ways to leverage out so you can really expand in both places. The way I'm doing it is just the way I want to do it. There's ways to go pedal to the metal without burnout in both states.
mhm.
Obviously, you've got to have money and resources and really know how to create that for yourself, but for me, this is what I wanted. This is the life that I wanted to start to create, and it works for me, you know?
Yeah, and that's another key thing that you're talking about is, you went really deep and you made the Michigan market your bread and butter.
Right.
But now what you're doing in California, it almost sounds like you're saying if business comes from what you're
Mhm,
doing in California, it's almost a bonus because you're just plugging yourself into things that you would have maybe done anyway, things that you
mhm,
certainly are enjoying, so you're making it, enjoyable for yourself. No,
right.
that's so fantastic, yeah,
And
and,
business comes that way. It does.
mhm,
When you're in a good space and you're having fun and people feel
mhm,
like you're a magnet, like, they wanna work with you, and I do get
mhm.
business that way, and I also have a very extensive, real estate network of agents all over the country that I've spent years creating, and so we do toss around referrals from different states and stuff like that too, so there's other methods of getting business in California, but overall, the goal was to just enjoy my life and create relationships and then service people that are important to me. So,
Oh,
yeah.
that's fantastic because I have to get back to the heart of the reason why I'm even doing real estate in the first place. And a lot of times it isn't even the real estate or it isn't the money. It is what it is allowing us to do. And I love how that became your focus is I moved to California to enjoy this season of my life, and I'm going to
Yeah,
enjoy this season of my life, and because that's
yeah,
really the point, is that's the reason why entrepreneurs do all of the crazy stuff that they do in the
right.
first place is because we just really want to have that control to enjoy our time and our freedom. No, that is fantastic. What are some of the things that you think you do? I hear a lot of people say so I do have a real estate license, but I
Mhm,
don't do retail real estate. It's really just so that I can, surf the MLS and it's like an accurate search engine for me. But
understand.
I hear a lot of people say that, "Ugh, being a real estate agent, it's so competitive." And so whether it is
Right?
or not, I'm not really certain, but it certainly seems like it is. What are some of the ways that you really make yourself stand out from
Yeah.
all of the noise and all the other people out there?
I love this question too, and there are a lot of it is a competitive industry, but the thing is there are a lot of us. And I read some statistic the other day that said 49% of realtors sell 0 to 1 houses a year.
I'm
So
in the
it's
49%. I'm in the
well,
0.
right, and that's fine. But the funny thing is there's a lot of licensed people, and there are the people that this is their livelihood, this is their life. And to me, what I do differently is for one, I am in a space where I am constantly following along with the trends and what to do to provide the best level of service for my clients.
Mhm.
I'm in coaching, I'm in multiple real estate groups where we are learning and growing and sharing ideas of how do we put on the most magnificent we call it a seventh level open house, right? Which is not just putting signs out and having people come to the open house, but we put signs out on every single corner. We pass out flyers to the agent. We door knock. We have a 1 hour strictly for neighbors portion of the open house. We have like blah, blah, blah. Like we have this high level way of doing everything that we do and the circle prospecting around the open house and just like some agents will have no idea what I just said and will never do that, and they don't you know what I mean? That's totally fine. But I'm like, how can I get to the highest level to where people don't even question my value? You know what I mean?
Mhm.
They're like, "I wanna
Mhm.
work with her." I invest in real estate so I understand the mechanics of the investment side of it and
Mhm.
what it takes to like, for example, my client wants to buy a property. Let's also look at the level of appreciation in that area that you're looking. Let's look at historical
Mm.
trends. Like,
Mhm.
let's look at this as an investment. Let's how long do you want to live there? What are your goals? What are you putting down? Like, where is this investment going to take you as well? And it's also like a concierge level real estate. So I just talked to a client yesterday. She's like, "Oh, we got to replace our furnace. We're saving for this furnace, blah, blah, blah." I'm like, wait a minute. I know a guy. Okay. I know a guy and you know what, like I know
Mhm.
people that will take good care of my clients because I give them a lot of business and I refer to them a lot and we have these symbiotic relationships. And there's so many things you can do to really come at real estate from a level of like full service in every
Mhm.
single capacity. Um, and again,
Yeah.
a lot of that is also the team. We get to if you can't contact me for an hour, you've got Aaron, you've got Chris, you've got people that you can call. We're there to communicate with you at all times. Like there's so many different levels to really set yourself apart because it is competitive. You are right. It is.
Mhm.
But
Yeah,
bring it.
no, one of the reasons I reached out to you isn't just because I think you're amazing as a person, but it's because I am constantly seeing the amazing things that you're doing, and you are very much putting yourself out there, which with much energy, much passion, much knowledge, and care, and it's really easy to see. What I heard you just say was your highest focus seems to be on providing value, and it's just really easy to see that. So, from someone who isn't even searching for an agent, they're just seeing the things that you are posting on social. It is so easy to see that value is something that you value. And so,
Yeah.
I just think it's really interesting that because of your actually like your unique perspective. I think that keeping value like at the tippy top of uh, bringing value to the table is a unique
Right.
perspective because I see a lot of people who really make this business about them rather than
Yeah.
turning it and making it about their client. And
Oh yeah.
so, I see that you're able to do this with a certain more level of finesse and success than other people are able to do it. No,
Yeah.
that's fantastic. But I want to ask you, so you going back a little bit in the timeline, you got your realtor's license and then it was immediately 2020. How did you navigate through
Oh.
COVID?
Yeah, yeah, it's so funny. Because the funny thing is, okay, so I got my license, I'm like bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, like, "Woo, let's go." And then the pandemic, I was like, "Oh my god, I can't even go to the brokerage. How do I learn how to be an agent?" I've never bought a house in my life. I mean, how do you get people to trust you with their biggest financial asset when you've never bought a house, you don't know what you're doing? So that was really, I mean, that was really tough. So what I was doing at the time, I remember just to get out of the house and make some money, I was doing DoorDash and I was listening to Bigger Pockets and
Mhm,
Keller Williams seminars and probably some stuff that you were out there promoting as well, like I think with Jamie Gruber and stuff like that, like just stuff, just trying to really learn as much as possible, probably to a fault, like learn every single thing I possibly could so that I was confident because
mhm,
I know I can talk to anyone and I know that I will outwork anyone, but how do I get people to trust me? I mean, I'm young, I'm 20, I'm 21. Like, I've never bought a house before, and there's a pandemic, and now I can't go into the office and I can't learn and I can't show houses. So I spent a lot of that time before were even allowed to show houses or do open houses learning. It was almost like a weird I would never say the pandemic was a blessing by any means, like, I don't want that to be construed, but there was this time where the world was kinda shut down, and so I was able to not feel if I didn't have that, I would have probably went and got a different job because I didn't have that I don't know how to explain it, but I needed that time to learn and to feel more confident in what I was and even just speaking real estate language. And so I was watching a lot of videos and just trying to learn from other people And then finally, I heard from someone at my office, an amazing agent was like, "You're never gonna know what you're doing until you get into action." You cannot listen to videos about every little problem or every little thing that's gonna come up in a real estate transaction. You just gotta do it. I was like, "All right." And so I
Yeah.
just started pursuing business, and asking for business and not being shameful and just going after it and getting into action.
No, that's fantastic. And I do connect with what you said with COVID, and obviously like having to be very sensitive about saying that. And
100%.
um you can find a person can find the silver lining or the blessing in whatever situation that they're in if they go looking for that. And if they go looking for the opposite of that, for the negative or the thing that holds them back or whatever, then they're going to find that as well.
Right.
And I really connect with what you said. Is I COVID for me was like a time to regroup and
Yeah.
plan and build things that could be built out so that when, it finally lifted, we were able to launch into certain different things. And I think that now we're really being able to see who who and how people spent their time during COVID. You're really seeing that. Like there are people who in 2022 and 2023 they just exploded, and you're like, where did this person even come from? And all of a sudden they're just doing this like amazing level of business. And it's like, well, they probably spent 2020 and 2021 doing exactly what you described,
Right.
learning and building and preparing and just taking that time and saying like, this is a burden that we all have to carry anyway. What can I do with it? And that was my perspective during COVID too, is I'm just like, well, if I've got this time, I'm gonna learn something or out some sort of crazy scheme
Right.
or something like that, rather than
Right.
just binge watch Netflix,
Right.
which
It's a
I
good
did
excuse.
my
It was a good excuse at the time, for
fair share.
sure,
Yeah.
to crawl into a hole and to be scared. And it just, yeah, I agree. How you show up at times like that is really indicative of who you are and like
Mm,
where you're on the track to be. Because a lot of people, that was the time to pack on some pounds, watch some TV, relax a little, put your feet up, like get some, a little bit of money from the government and just like relax. And you know what? A lot of people needed to relax during that time. And a lot
mhm.
of people, they needed that. And at the same time, there came a level where it was like, okay, I gotta get up and do something.
Right.
This is just enough doom and gloom. And yeah, I agree. So
No,
anyways.
absolutely. Absolutely. No, we alluded to, you've also got your chops in real estate investing as well. We alluded to that at the
Yeah,
beginning. We talked about your dad. Um, I'm sure there's like a bazillion John Wests on Facebook, but go look up John West because he looks just like Tom Cruise. But so you also have your hands in real estate investing. So you
yeah,
mentioned that's another like just tool in your toolkit, not to be cliche, that
yeah.
helps you with your clients. But let's talk a little bit more about that. Like what are the different strategies that you do either on your own or with your family?
Okay. I hate to do this. I have to plug in my laptop. I
No,
just
you're good.
I got a thing that it's dying. I'm so
Brief
sorry.
commercial break, folks. Hey, no,
Commercial
that's
break.
okay. Commercial break. Hey, well, I will go ahead and just take this opportunity then while Erica is running to grab her charger, to let you guys know to join John Paul and I, that's my husband, join us on YouTube on Monday nights from 7 to 8 p.m. Eastern Time. We go live on YouTube and we do this thing called Weeknight Workshop where we talk about everything that we have done in real estate investing that has just greatly increased our income. We teach it to you guys in a workshop style. And then because it's live, if you guys hop on for the live event, you can get your questions answered. So if you want to know like who and what and how we are doing what we're doing with real estate investing, join us Monday nights for our weeknight workshop and you can get your questions answered. But you got to come to the live event. Okay, she's back. She's plugged in. She's
Johnny on the
ready.
spot. Way to go. That was
Yes,
good.
I can do a
Okay.
shameless plug in 15 seconds for sure.
I love it. I fully support. Okay, so as far as investing, yeah. So I've done a little bit of everything. I've got long term, short term, midterm, I'm working on our second flip this year. I've been involved in a syndication, and I've also lent money as far like hard money lending.
Mhm.
So
Wow.
I've kind of done a little bit of everything. I wouldn't say like I'm a genius in any, but it's cool to dip your
She's a
toe.
tycoon, folks, dang.
Yeah. Well, the midterm rental was kind of accidental, but it's so I mean, it turned into being such a really cool, like I love it. I really want to get more into that realm, to be honest with you. Um,
Definitely. Well, let's just go ahead and start there. Define
yeah.
define midterm for me because I absolutely know what long term, short term, but what's midterm?
Right. So a midterm rental is in our experience, this was our experience. So we had a long-term rental property and we had been advertising to get a long-term rental into it. And an insurance it wasn't the insurance company, it's someone that worked for the insurance company, like an intermediary. She reached out to me and said, "Hey, I've got a displaced family that they're." I thought this was a joke too. I was like, "What is going on?" But I have a displaced family, their house caught on fire. I work with the
Mm,
insurance company. We're looking to place them for a period of time. Midterm, like it could be 30 days, it could be 6 months, but it's a short period of time, right?
mhm. Gotcha.
Um, and so they reached out and said, "Hey, blah, blah, blah." And so I started to look up and learn more about it and realized you can charge a pretty significant premium
Mhm.
for midterm. And especially because a lot of times the insurance company is paying for it. And you are, um, what is the word? You are somewhat inconveniencing the landlord because you're going to have to be getting a new renter in there and probably 3 months, 6 months, et
Mhm.
cetera, and go through that whole process again of finding a renter. Anyway, so you get paid a premium. And so what we were making, let's just say like $1,000 in cash flow on, we're now making $1,500, which is significant, right? When you're going, you know what I mean? And it's phenomenal because the insurance company just drops the rent and every single month. We don't even hear from the tenants that are in the property, and it's just like I'm like I need to do this more. I know a lot of people do it with traveling nurses and stuff like that,
Mm,
people that
mhm.
are
Yep.
displaced, insurance companies from floods, anything like that. But it's really a great way to make a significant level of cash flow on top of what you're already making, and just work with the insurance company. I mean, it's like a blessing. It's really great.
That that's such a great strategy that I feel
Yeah.
like we've just, kinda tapped into a whole new not necessarily strategy, but like a whole new lead to prospect would be those
Yeah.
displaced families due to an unfortunate event at their home. You're absolutely right. Something happens, fire, flood, etcetera. They need a temporary place to stay. They probably don't want to rent an apartment and finding something, um, midterm, it's probably
Right.
pretty rare. So you're also
Right.
really providing such a again, going back to value, like, that is providing such a service to this poor family
Yeah.
who's, like, in limbo until they can get back into their house.
Yeah. And you know what's funny? I thought in order to do a midterm rental, you needed to have the property furnished. You don't. The insurance
Oh,
company furnished it for the
wow.
family. It was incredible. And so there's these websites, there's like it's not the insurance company. There's like an intermediary that also
Mm,
speaks with the client, right?
mhm.
And speaks with or the tenant and then speaks with you. And they have websites, this intermediary where you can post your listing or your property and then they can reach out to you about midterm renting the property to these families. It's incredible. Yeah, I'm
That
that's
is
going to be a new
incredible.
focus.
Oh, for sure, for sure. I hope that this is sparking some ideas and inspiration in some people out there who are listening because I'm definitely gonna rewatch this portion and take some notes.
Yeah.
For sure,
Yeah,
that's really
it's
awesome. So, okay, so long term, midterm, short term, we started with the middle. Tackle whichever one on the left or the right you want to go to next.
Yeah, so long term, I just like it. It's a steady Eddie. You know, I will be honest, I don't have as many as I would like to because I'm so picky. Like, the cash flow is extremely important to me, the area, and maybe that's my realtor brain kicking in, but sometimes I wonder, I see all these people with all these investment properties. I'm like, are they good, fulfilling, like,
Mhm.
additions to your portfolio, or are you just buying properties? So for me, I'm super, super particular. Like it needs to have a certain level of cash flow, and it needs to be in an appreciating area, and I want it to be mid grade. And so I'm very particular about that. And obviously with knowing like I'm taking on a property where at any given time I'm replacing the roof or the furnace or some of these
Mhm.
items, I want to buy a nice property that also cash flows, which seems like a unicorn these days. But anyways, so yeah, one of my first long-term rental property was actually a client who was going to be selling their property. This is a tip for agents as well. You are on the front lines, my friend.
Yeah.
Like you are the
Mhm.
first person that gets a look at that property. And I remember walking through and going, wow, this is like a decent property. And she, just like you were talking about with distressed situations, not that this was a distressed situation, but she was so concerned about showing the house, having an inspection issue, having buyers beat her up on. She just did not want to list the house. Like that was not
Mhm.
her MO. So she actually knew that my dad was an investor, and she's like, "Would your dad be interested in this property?" Well, turns out I was interested, like no dad. And she was willing to sell it. She knew she was selling it under value, and we made that clear, but she was willing to do that. One, I negotiated, obviously, I can remove the commission, right? Because we're not listing the property and we're not marketing the property, and there's not a buyer's agent involved. So you get to that benefit. That's also what's cool about being an agent. You get to negotiate that fee and use it to your advantage. So we negotiated that. We said no inspection, we'll just buy it. We did a sewer scope before we bought it just to make sure like the number one thing was okay.
Mhm.
To me, like sewer scoping is just you have to do it. And bought it, no inspection, said you can move out when you want, you can leave whatever you want. You can leave stuff there if you want. Ended up, she wanted to list it at 190. Again, this is Michigan. And we bought it at 175. Because of obviously the commission difference and whatever, blah, blah, blah. That thing appraised at 275.
Nice.
Yeah, it was
So did
great.
did you do the famous BRRRR? The
I
BRRRR
did
strategy on
not.
that phase? Okay.
We well, actually, no. So we did renovate it and make it look nice. And we did put a renter into it, but we didn't pull any of the money out
Okay.
because we just liked it's just there. It's there if we need it.
Mhm.
I was moving and grooving with the sales. I didn't want to touch it. I am in a cycle of earning commission and taking care of my clients and doing that business and then investing the money.
Mhm.
Living below my means, investing the money. And
No,
so
it's
I didn't
fantastic.
wanna do the BRRRR and pull out and over leverage when it wasn't 100% necessary. We will use that. We actually decided we're gonna use that property to build our home when we do build a home. So that's
Mhm.
like we're not touching that little guy. Um, but yeah, it was a really cool experience. And my client, happier than she didn't care.
You were an
She
answer to prayer. Mhm.
Yeah, she did not. She was like, "I can't even believe you." She still tells me to this day, "I can't even believe you guys have that property. I feel bad for you." And I'm like, "It's fine. We're happy. Thank you."
To so many more people than people would think. It's not always about the money.
Yes.
Like, there has to be
Yes.
some money as part of the transaction, but there are so many other points of value that you can bring, like not parading people through her home, and so her anxiety or her peace,
Mhm.
I would say. Her peace was valuable to her, and, doing it so quickly and doing it timely, and then a lot of people need to know that the home is going to someone trustworthy. A
Yeah,
lot of people just need to know that it's gonna go to someone good who's going to take care of it after they're done using it. So that's fantastic.
right.
There are other ways you can compensate people that isn't necessarily like a
100%.
transaction exchange. No, that's fantastic. So then let's move over to short-term rental. So we were talking
Okay.
about short-term rental before we started recording. And so my husband and I have some short-term rental goals. We don't own
Okay.
any yet, but Erica has good things to say, and then also just nuggets of wisdom, like real talk
Right.
for us too.
Right. Real talk.
Mhm.
We got on the short-term investment train. What was it, in 2021 or something like that, when it was
Mhm.
really, in my opinion and my perception, really like the thing to do. And we
Yes,
went
everyone
to the
was talking about it. Yep.
Smokies. Yeah, we
The-
went to the Smokies just like everyone was doing. And but it turns out, I mean, we have a beautiful cabin and we love it. And it's in Kodak, Tennessee, which is east of Knoxville and north of Gatlinburg and Pigeon Forge, like that
Ooh,
big travel area,
yeah,
right?
my parents just went there outside of
Yeah.
Gatlinburg.
And they didn't stay at our place. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, they stayed at some cabin. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that's
Did
funny.
you rent Erica's cabin?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's hilarious. Yeah, so we got on that train and we the investment was great. We ended up going out of the real hot spot, which is funny. Right after we bought the house, one of our like kind of mentors was like, I don't know if I would buy in that area. And we're like,
Mm,
we just closed. He's like, oh,
fair.
it's okay. I'm like, okay. But it's been treating us well. It's not been the most lucrative, amazing, beautiful, wonderful experience that, to be honest, our realtor told us, and we had just kind of thought. And the thing about the short-term rental space too is it is hospitality. You are
Mm,
not just a landlord, and not sorry, I didn't mean to say just a landlord, but it is a
yeah.
hospitality business. You are
Landlords
dealing with
aren't changing bedding and towels out. Hmm.
right. Right. Or dealing with complaints or, hey, the remote batteries are out and it's 2 in the morning on a Wednesday. Or, hey, there's so many requests and so many random things you hear from the guests. And so there's so much to it. And it's competitive, right? Like you have to, just like a hotel, like you have to compare your rates to the rates of the people around you that have similar style, amenity, location, size, and some people are dropping their rates really low and you have to kind of comp with that. But then there's some people that they're just the Mac Daddy and they've got a pool and a mini putt-putt in the backyard and a gym in the garage, and you've got to compare and compete with them, so you're constantly having to make sure that your pricing is in alignment. You don't just put it on Airbnb and hope that it gets rented. Some people do, but that doesn't work very well. And they're going to find out real quick it doesn't work very, very well. So you have to have dynamic pricing. And the summer months or when there's something specific in town. And so you have to be it's a business. Like you have to be very business oriented and understand all of that. You have to be client facing or customer facing, guest facing, um, and have the guest book and there's so many things that are now normal to have at an Airbnb. It's a lot. So to be honest with you, I decided that is not my bread and butter as far as investing. I think for a lot of people, they can scale a lot. A lot of people get virtual assistants that help run the operations. To me, we didn't we now have someone else running it for us to help run it for us
hmm.
because it was a lot of work, and maybe we just didn't do it right, or maybe we didn't, but we were part of all these different forums and programs and learning and really tried our best, but it wasn't, to me, it wasn't our thing, but we still have it and it works.
Yeah,
It
no,
makes income.
absolutely. Sometimes you just have to execute a strategy just to find out that it's not going to be your strategy.
Right.
Like in 2018, we wholesaled a property. It was the first and it was the only, and it'll probably be the only ever. I didn't like it wasn't for me. There were so many
Right.
parts of the whole process that I'm just like, you know what, I'm glad that we did it, but I'm not going to be I won't be a wholesaler. That's just not for
Right.
me. So, and
Right.
I think that's fantastic though that you went through everything that you did and you executed all the way to the finish, and it's just a lesson in what isn't for you. So you have your hands in so many cool things. You are doing so many cool things, but what advice would you give me, just like general advice would
Yeah.
you give for somebody who's listening to your story and they're like, I am just at the beginning of my journey and I would like to do just one of the cool things that
Right.
Erica is doing. But, what advice do you have for people who are just getting started, whether retail, investing, or they've
Yeah.
got the dream to go down both lanes?
I think who you see yourself as matters. Like,
Mm,
the lens for which you see yourself matters. This isn't an easy business to get into, but it's really easy to fall into that comparison conundrum and thinking you don't know enough, or you aren't skilled enough, or you're not resourceful enough, or you don't have enough money, or you're not in that place yet, or whatever. There's so many reasons why you're not going to be great or whatever. And then you want to know what happens when you do that. You look for evidence to prove that you're not
Mm.
skilled enough, or you're not smart enough, or resourceful enough. And then you get into this like vicious circle of I'm not good enough at this, or I'm not ready to do this. And the fact of the matter is, everyone that started has been somewhere, has been right where you're at too. And it's
True.
just about, how can I take inspired action for what I want to do, and just start making moves on it. There comes a point where you get bogged down and what everyone else is doing, and like this elusive, like, someday I'm going to do this, or someday I'm going to be here, or someday I'm going to know all this information. And then you look up and you've wasted a bunch of time, and you've missed your life, and you've missed opportunities. It's just about like turning that radar on, looking for opportunities, knowing that you already have everything you need to get started. Like, just get started. And
Mhm.
another thing is too, is creating the life that you want does not need to make sense to other people. People are
Yeah.
gonna probably
Amen to that.
judge you. Yeah, they're probably gonna judge you, or maybe even criticize you when you first start. I'm gonna be a real estate investor. I'm gonna be an agent, or whatever. They're gonna judge you and criticize you when you start, and then they're gonna call you lucky when you're successful. And they're gonna say,
Mhm.
"Oh, they just got lucky. Oh my God, they're just so naturally talented." It's like,
Mhm.
I don't know. Everything you see from everyone else is them at a stage showing their best self, and not showing how difficult and hard and what it actually is to do this business. It's a lot of mucky getting yourself out of things, and just, I don't know. You just don't have to have everything figured out when you start. But you do have to figure out where the goal is, or where the end game is, or what type of investing makes sense for you, and be very real about where you're
Mhm.
at in the starting point, and then just start to take inspired action for the future.
No, that's fantastic. Fantastic. Somebody who's right at the beginning of their journey, the best advice I would, or one of the piece of advice that I would give them, is one of the action steps you can take right now is listen to podcasts, read books. What is one of your favorite like entrepreneurial or business or real estate related books? Something that's been really good for you. Are you frozen? Oh no, she's frozen. Erica, come back to us. All right. Well, while we wait for Erica to come back, I'm going to talk about the very first real estate, or no, the very first entrepreneurial book that I ever read, ever. I didn't even know that personal development, entrepreneurial mindset was even a thing. I think it was 2012 or 2013. I read The 4 Hour Work Week by Tim Ferriss. I actually was teaching school and I was reading it over the summer, and reading that book just absolutely blew my mind that there was even a world that existed like that, that you could take your skill sets and you could apply it and you could go into business, and you didn't have to have some sort of like entrepreneurial degree or anything like that. So that's a book that I would recommend, is The 4 Hour Work Week. So Erica, while you were hopping on, hopping off, I
I don't know
prattled
what
on
just
about
happened.
what my favorite, I told everyone my favorite entrepreneurial mindset book was The 4 Hour Work Week. And it's not that it's my favorite, but it's the first one that I ever read over a decade ago, and it blew my mind. What would be like an entrepreneurial mindset or business book that you would recommend for people who are like just getting
Yeah,
started?
I need to read that book. Right now, I'm in the process of reading 10x is easier than 2x. And to be
Yes.
honest with you,
Uh-huh. It's a
I
good one.
was I got this book through a coaching program that I'm in, and to be honest with you, I was like, that title sounds so annoying. Like,
That
I'm
doesn't,
already
isn't
working
it
so
just
hard.
such fluff, and it's just truth. It's
Right.
just
Well,
truth.
I'm like, I'm already working so hard. I can't go 10x, but it really emphasizes the idea of just achieving significant success and growth by increasing the focus level of effort
Mhm.
of what that top 20%, it's actually about honing in
Yeah.
and not doing so much. The 2x way is doing more of something, and the
Mhm.
10x way requires you to act in a completely different way, in a completely different capacity, making your goal so big and audacious that there's like a finite path to getting there. Like there's not all these different steps and ways to get like there's like a path to getting there that is very like oddly specific. And I don't know. It just you have to read the book to really comprehend it, but I think it's just so good and juicy and I love it. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I love that. I love it too. And I actually read it recently and it changed a lot about what I do. It was one of the reasons why I hired an assistant and just kind of like delegating so many things. No, that's fantastic. The how people are 10xing their output is not by 10xing their input. They're actually just
Exactly.
really, really focusing on the things that they are uniquely skilled and qualified for, and all of the other things that have to be done, getting it off their plate and delegating it
Yep.
to other people. And that's how people grow and scale. Or at least that's how people grow and scale, and then you see them actually out there, like, living a life, you know?
Right.
No,
Right.
good book, good recommendation. I'm gonna ask you a goofy question. So, what is your favorite movie that resonates with the entrepreneurial spirit, even if the plot has nothing to do with entrepreneurship or business? It just, like, resonated with your entrepreneur soul.
Okay. So I don't know why, but this comes to mind and it's so silly. And it's a goofy question, so I have a goofy answer. So have you seen Legally Blonde?
Oh, yes. So
Yeah.
my husband's a high school choir teacher, performing arts
Yeah.
teacher. They did Legally Blonde the musical in 2019. His high schoolers did it. It
I love
is
that.
amazing. Amazing. Okay,
Yeah.
I wanna see
It
where you're going with
it
this. Keep going.
it resonates with me. Okay, so for some reason, like I imagine like Elle Woods. She's dressed in hot pink, like sticking out like a sore thumb, walking through the university of the law school, and people are all dressed in dark, grungy, like looking over at her, and she's just walking in, just like strutting it, just being herself, like law school. That's easy, and just like I don't know, it just reminded me of when I first got into real estate and just what I didn't know just couldn't hurt me. And I was just
Mhm.
like, screw it. I'm gonna real estate, I can do it. Like walk in there, like being confident and just like not caring what anyone thinks and just I don't know, just like that like look of her just strutting and being herself and doing it in spite of whatever anyone else thought. I just felt like I was so young and I'm a female and I've never bought a house and I just got out of college. I'm like basically 20 years old and all these people have been in the industry for 20 plus years and just like walking into the office like whatever. I can do it. Like and I just feel like having that energy anyone getting into this in entrepreneurship field or game, it's just like, "What? Law school? It's easy. I can do it." Just like walking in
That's
and just
awesome.
having that confidence that you can do it too. They can do it,
Mhm.
you can do it.
No, I like what you said. Sometimes what you don't know it can't hurt you.
Yeah.
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 Sometimes we're battling perceived things, not things that are actually real. No, that's awesome. All right, so
Exactly.
last and final question for you is, if people who've been watching this would like to connect with you, how can they reach
Okay.
out to you? How can they follow you?
Yeah, so Erica Moves Me. That's me on Instagram. I post all the time, silly stories, fun, inspiring stuff. Instagram's big. You can hit me up on Facebook too. Just Erica West, find me. I don't know if you want me to just plug my phone number and email, but we
No,
can plug that as well.
okay,
Yeah.
unless you want to.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
That's
for
all good.
sure. I would be happy to speak with anyone about real estate or if they need to buy or sell or just want to ask questions about how I have my team set up or how I do of course. Yeah, anyone could reach out.
No,
Yeah,
fantastic.
do you want me to just say my phone number?
Go right ahead.
Okay. Phone number is 248-520-1742. And I look forward to talking to you.
Right on. Erica moves me on Instagram. That is so clever. So clever. So many different meetings embedded in your handle. Amazing.
I love that you
Awesome.
see that.
Awesome.
Yes.
So
It was
we'll
intentional.
plug her information down in the details, whether this is on Facebook or whether it's on YouTube. You guys know where to go and dig for stuff that's in the descriptions, in the comments, in the posts, etc. Well, thank you so much, Erica, for this interview. It was awesome. It was great seeing you again. Thanks for your time today.
To see you too.
All right, bye everybody. And for all of you out there in internet land, I have 2 directions for you to follow. Number 1, always remember there is no spoon. And number 2, remember to join us for weeknight workshop. We're going live on YouTube on Monday nights at 7 p.m. Eastern Time to teach you all of the strategies and systems that we've used to build our 6-figure real estate investing business. We were 2 broke teachers who broke into the real estate investing space, and if we can do it, you can do it. And you do not want to miss this information. So join us on YouTube Monday nights, 7 p.m. Eastern. We'll see you guys in the workshop.